Elton John never thought of himself as being a big solo artist. That's an interesting thing considering he became a big solo artist. Our guest is engineer-producer Stuart Epps on Rock History Music.
Something I'm going to tell you now on this Zoom interview that really people don't know across the world, that is that he's gay. No, that's not it. No, is that is that Elton John never thought to be a singer and never thought to do concerts at all. Never thought to be a performer. I promise you that is true. He was focused on songwriting, and that was it. He was in a background, he was in a band with Long John Beaudin playing piano, and during the day he'd be doing sessions as a pianist, sometimes as a singer, but mainly as a pianist. And it was really only told to him, because I was trying to, later on I was in A&R and I was playing his songs to other artists, because we were music publishers, we weren't a record company. And people weren't really interested, to be honest. They probably thought they were a bit too personal. They probably thought that I can't do that, it's a bit too personal. I remember sending songs to Ray Charles and all sorts of people. So it was put to him that if he wants his music out there, he better sing them himself. He better record them himself. And that's what happened, And then once he'd sort of started recording, it was put to him that he ought to be promoting himself. So that's why he started doing gigs,
But in the beginning, was he not doing, for his songs, was he not doing guide vocals anyway? Would he not do that, try to sell his songs?
Well, he was doing the vocals. He was doing demos, absolutely, piano and voice demos. Well, yeah, but he wasn't, like I say, it's incredible to think back. Things seem to happen so fast, to be honest. One day he's doing this. One day we've done an album. Next week we've done Tumbleweed. I mean, although it didn't seem fast at the time, within a few years he's now selling records. He's becoming a big star. But it seemed to drag on, the whole process, really, of him just being a songwriter, writing a song for Eurovision, and then making Empty Sky, where you thought, wow, he's singing well, and these are like. Because this was Steve Brown's idea, you see. When Steve Brown came on the scene, he was quite into underground, which is what we used to call it, underground music. And Elton's writing all these pop songs. So he said to him, isn't that a bit crass, a bit, can't you write something a little bit more intelligent? I don't think he actually put it in those words. But, and Elton said, yeah, I've got some ideas. And then, he started writing these semi-classical songs and got in touch with Bernie, who writes these amazing lyrics, and so that's how that developed. And it was a process of development, being egged on by us who just thought he was brilliant, in the record company and in the music publishers is like a lot of people, and that's, if we get back to your question, which is how does it differ from now, is that youngsters don't have that backup. Good luck trying to get signed to a record company. You more or less got to be successful before they'll look at you. And the whole idea of Dick James and then Rocket was to sign embryonic talent, to bring it on and to tell them what's possible and to put money into them and to believe in them. And that job's very much left to producers like myself or managers. You really almost have to have it all done before a record company can go, all right, we'll pick you up. So the development process is not really the same at all. On the flip side, we could release this conversation to iTunes and it'll be available across the world for anyone to hear or to buy. Whereas when we were at Dick James, we used to have to go to the record shop and say, have you got the latest Elton John single or whatever it is? And they go, Elton what? Who? Elton who? That a lot of people used to say. And that was one of our publicity campaigns. It said Elton who. But now, obviously that side of it is available to everyone. Everyone can be out there with a...
Yeah.
But in saying that, you still got to promote it. I don't really know whether much has changed. You know, the technology, of course, it's changed. In some respects, very little has changed. And also when it comes to the next big thing, whatever that is, I tend to, when I hear it, relate to it, if it's pop music, if it's rock. I must admit, John, I don't know where all the bands have gone. That's one thing. I don't know where these bands have gone. All I can think is, whenever 4 or 5 or whatever people get together, as soon as there's a slight difference of agreement, it finishes.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And bands was all about disagreement. It was all about rows, shouting. You don't know what you're talking about. You stick to what you do. I stick to what I do. You know, bands was a very strange but amazing situation.
Yeah. Well, Lennon and McCartney is the ultimate example of two guys who had, who loved each other and didn't, and competed against each other and rose. I mean, my best work has been done because I considered myself an underachiever, and then I went, no, I want to be more like that, or anything, any other statement you want to put in here, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of that whole sort of concept of it seems to be different, whereas everyone's sitting in front of a one screen, you know, with a few instruments and trying to make it happen. And
why did you stop working with Elton in the first era? What happened?
Well, the first era, I mean, you know, I just turned 71 years of age at the weekend, and I was looking back, and it was actually 53 years ago that I met Elton on the same day, April the 2nd, to start a 3-month tour with him in America. But that's when I was 19 years old. So there's this whole time when I never worked for Elton. At that time, I was working for Dick James. Then I was working for Rocket Records, which, yeah, he was involved in, but I wasn't strictly working for him. And, I wasn't really working with his team, as it were, on the road. You know, we just did that tour. Then in 74, I did a tour with Kiki D, and that was still when I was at Rocket, and Elton was the headline and she was supporting. Then when Gus Dudgeon started the Mill Studios, I was working for Gus. So, yeah, Gus was still Elton's producer. So I was still involved with Elton through Gus. And then we did Ice on Fire, and we did all sorts of things. And then, so it would just be, I was never working for him. So just now and again, I would get involved. We did the duets. That wasn't the last time I saw him by any means, but we did the duets album, which Chris Rea sang on, and I was involved in that. I actually got him on a project. It's not often, probably he does projects for other people, but Frankie Miller, I don't know if you've heard of Frankie Miller. He's an amazing singer who's been very ill. He sort of got all sorts of problems and couldn't sing, but he wanted to do this album of getting together with artists, but he couldn't sing, so he wanted them to do duets, if you like, with his old recordings, you know. And everyone was saying, well, forget it, you know, Elton will never do that. But I just thought, well, I'll write to him anyway. And he said, Carl, he said, yeah, I'll do it. You know, thanks for asking me. So he did one of Frankie's songs. And and I'll go to the gigs when he's in England and this sort of thing, you know. But as far as working together, you know, I haven't actually worked with him for quite some time.
We'll have more from Stuart Epps coming up the next few days. Remember, he produced so many people, engineered a lot of people. He was the engineer on the Coda album with Jimmy Page. Worked with The Firm, Twisted Sister, Elton John, Paul Rogers, Jimmy Page, and a host of others. If you want to get produced by him, he is available. Go to his website, stuartepps.co.uk. Remember, subscribe to our channel. We always love it when you join our team. Like our videos, spread the word, spread the videos on social media, and comment on them as well. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music.